A landlord in Washington, D.C. evicted a tenant who was shot during a drug deal gone wrong, and now that tenant is claiming that they were evicted only because of race. I'm Tony, and this is Real Estate Investing and Landlord News. All right, so I have an interesting article for you today, and it's coming out of the Washington Post. I don't normally cover articles in this newspaper because they got a paywall up, okay? It's like they don't actually want people to be discussing the articles that are inside their newspaper. But anyway, the story that I'm covering is about this tenant who was actually shot in their apartment, right? And then afterwards, the landlord evicted them. And the landlord had good reason to evict this person, especially if you look at, read further in the story. But unfortunately, we know the Washington Post is a far left-leaning, progressive, socialist magazine publication, right? And we're going to believe the word of this poor tenant, right? Well, I think that there's more to this story, right? And I think that people need to read between the lines because, simply put, there's a lot to process here. And, this tenant who is suing, it looks to be like a frivolous lawsuit, in my opinion, okay? So, I wasn't there. I can't say for sure, but I'm going to tell you what I think, right? And it isn't nice, okay? It's not politically correct. And I've never told anybody that I was a politically correct person, right? But, the truth of the matter is that I'm going to tell you as it is and the way I see it and the way that the majority of people see it. Maybe not the people who have the blinders on, but anyway, before I get into the article, go ahead, hit the like and subscribe button. Maybe leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think, okay? As a landlord, would you evict a tenant who was shot inside one of your units and what appears to be a drug deal gone wrong? Okay? Now, personally, the thought of, crimes being committed inside one of my units, the thought of, people with guns shooting up my units, especially if it's an apartment building or a multifamily where you have other tenants to worry about as well, okay? Doesn't matter what the background or the sob story is, right? I'm going to assume the worst and cover my butt, protect my tenants, protect my investment, and get you the heck out of there. That's what I'm gonna do, okay? So let's get into this article. Like I said before, this is coming from the Washington Post, and it says he was shot inside his DC apartment, then management evicted him. Patrick Orsini sued a DC apartment building for $7.5 million, alleging he was wrongfully kicked out after he was shot. And let's see if this is truly what happened or if this guy's full of garbage. But you're going to have to make up your own mind because we don't know the results of this case just yet. But anyway, let's get into the article. Late one January 2020 morning, Patrick Orsini, his then girlfriend, and 3 friends were gathered inside his Northwest DC apartment when Orsini heard a knock at his door. As he opened it, Orsini said he saw a gun pointed at his face. The gunman fired one bullet, grazing the back of his head, he said. A second bullet seared through Orsini's left shoulder and passed through his torso, while the assailant took off running down the hallway. Orsini's friends rushed him to Howard University Hospital, where he underwent 2 surgeries on his arm. At the hospital, Orsini said he told police he did not see his attacker and had no idea who it was or how the person got into the building. I was in shock. I had never been shot before, Orsini said. The doctors told me I was lucky to be alive. When Orsini returned to his apartment building a few days later, he discovered his key fob no longer worked. He said a building manager met him in the lobby and told him that his neighbors no longer felt safe with him living there, and he should retrieve his belongings and move out immediately. So when you're reading this story, right, and just going through the first few paragraphs right there, you start to realize, hey, there's something not quite right about this. Okay, so obviously this is the sort of building where you just can't walk in. Okay, so here we have a person who is in the building, right? They walk straight to this guy's apartment. Okay, and they don't, knock on the door and say, hey, is anybody inside or anything? No, they start shooting the second the door opens. Why? Okay, that is the question right there. Why? Now keep in mind, I'm a law enforcement officer, right? And the shootings that you see, almost all of them happen for a reason. It isn't just some random person knocking on doors and shooting people. In 99% of cases, the people either know each other or they have some kind of dealings with each other, okay? So, they're saying, oh, it was early morning in the middle of the night, okay? And this guy gets a knock on the door. If I get a knock on the door in the middle of the night, I'm going to my front door with my weapon, because shouldn't nobody be coming to my house in the middle of the night, okay? So I don't know what this guy was thinking, especially when he's in an apartment complex. So you're in a secured apartment complex in the middle of the night, somebody you didn't buzz in comes and knocks on the door, let's say it's like 2 a.m. You just gonna open the door? You're not gonna look out your peephole or nothing like, who is this? No, you just open the door and get shot. I don't know who that guy was. That sounds like a complete lie to me. Complete garbage, okay? He knew who this guy was. He knew why that guy was there. He probably is the one who let him in, okay? And as we continue, you'll see why I think that. Nearly a year after the incident, Osini, who is black, and they immediately start with the race stuff, but that's pretty much irrelevant. Let's continue. Filed a $7.5 million lawsuit in D.C. Superior Court against the apartment complex, the Capitol View on 14th, and its parent company, Colorado-based UDR Inc., alleging the building's management discriminated against him based on race. He was only 4 months into a 14-month lease, according to his suit. In early September, a judge ruled Osini's lawsuit could move forward. This was crazy. I had literally been shot. They escorted me to my apartment and told me to grab an overnight bag, and I had to stay in a hotel, Osini 31 said in a recent interview. I was victimized again. It was unbelievable. The apartment complex disputes Osini's claims. And now we're going to hear, just what the statement the apartment complex put out, okay? We deny Mr. Osini was wrongfully evicted, said UDR's attorney, Darcy Cia Asta. The defendants look forward to presenting their case for a decision based on all of the facts, should the plaintiff's case survive further legal challenges ahead. Now, let me ask you something. If you were in the wrong, okay, and you didn't have a good defense against this sort of lawsuit, would you be, this confident? Now, their lawyers are coming out very confident that, hey, this is frivolous, this is garbage. And, that tells me right there that there is so much more to this story. And all of that will become apparent as we go into the future. Now, if this guy loses his case, that makes the Washington Post look like idiots. So I highly doubt they're actually going to cover if he loses, okay? But let's continue, because there's more information in this story that's, quite interesting, that kind of shines a light on who this guy truly is. Osini alleges the apartment complex was negligent in ensuring that the building was secure and in preventing non-residents from gaining access. The Howard University graduate alleges that because he is black, the building's management assumed he must have been involved in illegal activity that culminated in the shooting. Right? So, first, he's talking about race, and then he's I'm a college graduate. Yeah, like college graduates have never committed crime before. Okay, dude, listen, stop using your race as an excuse. Stop, you're trying to get a free payout. And this apartment complex, they got their lawyers on it. They're not having it, okay? They've got the real story, and the real story's coming up for all the people who are watching my video right now, because I'm going to read the next paragraph, and you'll get a good idea of why this apartment complex, kicked this guy out. While investigating the shooting, police found 4 shell casings in the hallway outside Osini's apartment. But inside, police found a stash of marijuana, hashish, and bullets of various calibers, according to a police report. Police initially charged Osini with possession with intent to distribute and unlawful possession of ammunition, and prosecutors later dismissed the charges. Mark A. Smith, one of Osini's attorneys, said it was unclear who the items belonged to since so many people visited. Okay, so this guy got a whole bunch of drugs and ammo up in his apartment right now. They didn't find any guns, right? But is that only lucky? I don't know. So, and they were like, oh, well, this could have belonged to anybody because there were a whole bunch of people in there. It's in your apartment, dude. Okay? You got a whole bunch of, guns and ammo in your apartment. Okay, you've got your neighbors who said they felt unsafe. They told the landlord, that's what they said earlier. The neighbors said that, they told the landlord that they did not feel safe with you up in there. You've got random people coming to your door, shooting the place up. From all appearances, you are a drug dealer selling drugs out of your apartment, or you're just having wild parties with people who are using illegal drugs, right? Do you think that the other tenants in this building, even if you're not a drug dealer, even if, right, you had these illegal drugs in your apartment, you're having this late night party with a whole bunch of illegal drugs, and then, people are shooting up the place, right? You got to go. Okay, you are a problem for all the good tenants who are trying to sleep at night. Get out, okay? And they're not kicking you out because of your race. They're kicking you out because you're a garbage tenant and they don't want you there anymore. So, interesting story. I'm not going to continue because they try to play it up. Oh, these are poor, victimized, whatever, okay? My personal belief is that this ridiculous lawsuit will be thrown out or he won't get anything when the apartment complex and their lawyers bring all of the evidence forward.